Section A.4, Part 2, Dividing Sign Numbers, coming from Section 1.7. For our toolbox, we want to be able to know how to divide whole numbers. Upon completing this presentation, you will be able to understand how to divide sign numbers and understand the different results for problems involving division and zero. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with our manipulatives again in order to talk about how to divide integers. So the first thing that we're going to do, similar to what we did with multiplication, is we are going to ignore the negative if it is in the bottom number or the second number. We'll come back to it at the end. Now in general, when we talk division, remember that the first number indicates the total number that we have. And again, it's going to indicate whether we are looking at blue chips or red chips, depending on whether it's positive or negative. Now the second number can indicate one of two things. It can indicate how many are in each group, and that's what we're going to use here. Or it can indicate how many groups you can form. We are going to figure this part out, and when we figure out, we're going to use the how many in each group, and then our answer is going to be equal to the number of groups that we are able to form. Finally, just like in multiplication, if the bottom or second number is negative, we are going to change the colors. So let's go ahead and look at some examples. All right, if we start with example A, we have 15 divided by 3. So we are going to think about, we're starting with 15 pieces, and I want to figure out how many groups of 3 can we make. So we're going to, I've got a group of 3 here, and I've got 4 more groups of 3 here. So I'm going to go ahead and stack them. If we stack them on top of each other, we have a total of 5 groups, which means that 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5. Again, it's going to be positive because we didn't have to do any changing of colors. All right, let's come down to example B. We have negative 8 divided by 4. And so here we want to go ahead and start with 8 red pieces. And I want to know how many groups of 4 can I make. So we have a group of 4 here, and we have a group of 4 here. So we're going to go ahead and group those together. And so I'm going to stack them on top of each other. And we don't have, our second number is not negative, so we are not going to be changing the signs. And so what we end up with here is we have 2 stacks of red chips, which means that this is equal to -2. All right, let's keep going and see what we got. Now we're going to look at some ones where we are dividing by negatives. Here, we are going to divide 16 by -2. So we're going to start with our 16, which is positive, so we've got 16 blue chips. And I want to know how many groups of 2 can we make. So if we stack this up so that we have stacks of 2, I can stack them up like this, and we have a total of 8 stacks. Now the last thing that we need to do is, because we are dividing by -2, I need to change these to red. So all of these become red. Oh, that's not what I wanted. We'll just do the tops. And we end up with -8. All right, and the last one we have is negative 12 divided by negative 3. So we want to figure out how many groups can we make of 3. We're starting with negative 12, which means 12 red chips. So we're going to do stacks of 3, and if we do that, we're going to get 4 stacks of 3. And then we want to go ahead and change them to blues because our 3 is negative. And so what we end up with here is positive 4. All right, so this is our first example of how to visualize this. Let's keep going. So similar to multiplication, what we want to do is we want to divide the numbers disregarding the signs. And then from there, to determine the sign of the answer is just like multiplication. If you have an even number of negatives, the result will be positive. If there is an odd number of negatives, the result will be negative. So let's look at some examples. For example A, we have 8 divided by negative 2. I'm going to start by dividing the numbers. We get 8 divided by 2 is 4. Since I have a 1 negative sign, my final answer will be negative. So we get negative 4. If we look at example B, negative 42 divided by negative 6. I'm going to start by dividing the numbers. We get 42 divided by 6 is 7. Since we have 2 negatives, my answer will be positive, or, just like we did before, we can cross out the 2 negatives, leaving me with no negatives to put in my answer. For example C, we have dividing the numbers to begin with. 45 divided by 3 is 15. Since we have 1 negative in the problem, we will keep it with the answer, giving us negative 15. For example D, starting with dividing the numbers, we get 20.8 divided by 4 is 5.2. Since I have 1 negative, I'm going to keep it with my answer, giving me negative 5.2. That brings us to problems involving fractions. So, what is our procedure for dividing fractions? Remember that we had a nice little way to remember this. It was copy dot flip. So if we look at example E, I'm going to start with my copy dot flip. So we get negative 3 over 4 dot negative 5 over 9. One thing to note about the negative in terms of fractions, the negative can either go in front of the fraction, it can go in the numerator, it can go in the denominator. As long as you just have 1 negative for the fraction, then it does not matter where you put it. Your answer will be the same no matter what. From here, we want to go ahead and multiply. So I'm going to cancel my common factors. 3 and 9 are both divisible by 3. We get 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. From there, we multiply straight across. I get 1 times 5 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. And then now we have a total of 2 negatives. They will cancel. Or if you want, we can cross them out. Either way, we should end up with an answer of positive 5/12. For example F, we're going to do the same procedure. I'm going to start with my copy.flip. I get 4/7, copy the first fraction, dot, flip the second one. I get negative 21/16. I want to cancel common factors. 4 and 16, the greatest common factor for 4 and 16 is 4. If we divide both by 4, I get 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. We have 7 and 21 are both divisible by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 21 divided by 7 is 3. If we multiply straight across, we get 1 times 3 is 3 over 1 times 4 is 4. And now, what is the sign of my answer? Well, we have a total of 1 negative in the problem, and so we need to keep the negative with the answer, giving me a total of negative 3/4. So that takes care of just some basic division problems. The next thing we want to look at is division and zero. For division and zero, we have 3 possibilities. The first 2 are the only ones that you need to know for this course. The first one is the quotient of 0 and a non-zero number is 0. So, for instance, 0 divided by 7 is 0. 7 can be any number except 0. So let's talk about what this means. The reason that we get 0 is just like subtraction is the opposite of division or addition. Division is the opposite of multiplication. When we learn division, what we want to think of is 0 divided by 7 means 7 times what equals 0. Well, the only way to multiply to 0 is if this is 0, giving us our answer. So this is the first one. Now, you can either have it written out horizontally, or you can have it written as a fraction. 0/7 is equal to 0. The second one that we have is the quotient of a non-zero number and 0 is undefined. So let's look and see what this looks like. We have, for instance, give me any non-zero number, let's say 5. I want to try to divide this by 0. You can also write this as a fraction, 5/0. What this means, if we translate it to a multiplication problem, we get 0 times what equals 5. And is it possible to have 0 times anything be 5? The answer is no, because 0 times anything is always 0. Since it cannot be done, we refer to it as undefined. Undefined is not the same thing as saying no solution. Note, we are not working with equations here. We're just working with numbers. So this is one of the key words that you do want to be aware of, is undefined. The last example is for this class is just going to be kind of a quick note. We will not see this in any of the problems that we look at, but there is a third case that you may see in future math classes. The third case is the quotient of 0 and 0. If we look at this, let's see what we get. We get 0 divided by 0, or 0 over 0. What this translates to is 0 times what equals 0. So what can I plug in for the question mark? I can plug in any number that I want, but you can't sit there and say something is equal to anything. And so instead of saying that, we call it indeterminate. So those are the three cases of division and 0. It may take a little bit of time to figure out which one is which. Remember, the third one you do not need to be aware of. It will not come up. The other two you do want to know. One thing to note is you can always use your calculator, and if your calculator gives you an error message, then that is the one that is undefined. Make sure that when you plug into your calculator that the first number or the top number of the fraction always goes in first, and the second number or the bottom number always goes in second. So when will we see this again? Throughout the course, we will be working with signed numbers as well as their operations. Dividing signed numbers will be a fundamental concept when we talk about solving linear equations. We will also expand the concept when we talk about factoring polynomials in Chapter 6.